An Unexpected Future by A Series on AO3. Episode 10. Chapter 10. Academy is just a fancy word for school. Since it was still early and everyone in their grade had lunch at the same time, the lines were still long to get food from Lunch Rush. But surprisingly, Sue didn't five in the line. Instead, he was off to the side, staring up at a poster menu up on the wall with a furrowed brow. Sue was able to walk right beside him, double-checking his line of sight, and says, "Do you need any help?" Before Five noticed her, with a small jump. "Sue." Five cleared his throat. "I didn't notice you." "The cafeteria is pretty loud, kiddo." Sue agreed, looking up at the board again, trying to puzzle out Five's problem. Did he have some sort of food allergy? Was he embarrassed about his order? Did he know what all those dishes were? Wait, all the items were written in kanji, and there wasn't any fugana. She turned to Five. "Do you need me to read out the lunch options?" Five stiffened next to her, a blush creeping into his cheeks as he flexed his fingers by his side. For a moment, she expected him to deny it, but apparently he was aware enough of his limits to mumble a quiet, "Yes, please." Sue beamed at him. Once Five could actually understand his options, deciding what he wanted was a quick affair, and Sue voluntarily waited for him through the line, even though she brought her own lunch. "Kanji can be pretty hard, huh?" Sue asked conversationally. "Tell me about it." Five sighed. "My father had us learn all sorts of languages, but he prioritized Western ones like Greek and Latin. He'd have these recordings that he'd play that would teach us languages while we did other, more important things. One of those languages was Japanese, and while I can understand everyone and speak it well enough, I'm embarrassed that all I really learned was Harakana and Katakana alphabets." Sue tilted her head, but decided to hold off her curiosity about his home life to say, "Kanji can look scary when you first start out, but eventually you figure out the patterns that make them make sense. My younger brother is learning katakana right now, and my little sister will be starting next year. If I see any books on learning katakana, I'll pick up a copy for you." Five's brows pinched together, eyeing her suspiciously. "Why would you do that?" "It's the least I can do after you saved my life." "Oh." Five's expression slackened, looking away awkwardly before meeting her eyes again. "I see. Well, in that case, I'll appreciate it." Sue smiled at him. "You're welcome, kiddo." Five gathered up his lunch, and Sue led him to an empty table near the rest of their class. "Sorry about everyone earlier, by the way," Sue said as she sat down. "We can be rowdy." "It's okay," Five said with a sigh. "I'm used to rowdy. You can speak in Japanese, by the way." He continued, switching languages. "I'm not going to get better if everyone goes easy on me." "It's good for us to practice too, Ribbit," Sue pointed out, even as she wanted to switch back to Japanese. "I doubt most of our class has experience speaking English outside of class." "What about you?" Five asked. "You speak English pretty well." "My parents hosted an American exchange student when I was a kid," Sue explained as she unwrapped her lunch. "I picked up a bit of the knack for it. If you need someone to talk to English, you can talk to me or Ayomama. Midoriya and Kaminari are pretty good too. Actually, I think I heard that there was an American exchange student in Class B already. I guess you're ours now, Ribbit." Five scowled and muttered a few unkind words about the principal. "By the way, what name would you like me to call you?" Sue asked with a tilt of her head. "Should I call you Haru, too?" "I'd rather you didn't. I'd prefer the name Five." but I didn't know you normally use family name in Japan. I don't mind calling you Five, if that's what you want, Sue said. Do you want me to tell off the others? Five shook his head. They can have their fun. It doesn't matter what they call me. I'm not planning to stick around long. Are you really that close to figuring out your way back? Sue asked curiously. It's a matter of figuring out the proper equation that'll get me home. Five said, with a surprising confident nod. You could always talk to Yariozu to help you out with complicated math. She's the girl that sits in front of you. She's really smart. No offense, but this is above normal high school level math. Five said, leveling a condescending look at Sue. So is Yariozu. Sue held firm. Five raised an eyebrow at her, and Sue didn't waver under his gaze. Huh, okay, Five said, breaking eye contact to eat some of his food. I'll consider it then. Good, Sue said, eating one of her octopus-shaped sausages. Your family seems pretty interesting. Five snorted. You can say that. Is what Midoriya said earlier true? The sports festival here replaced the Olympics? Sue could spot a deflection when she saw it, but Five didn't want to talk about his family, so she wouldn't press. Mr. Hisawa said we're not supposed to talk to you about history, Ribbit. It's not history if it's current, is it? Five argued. He scrunched up his face before continuing in English. I'm not planning to go back and run a campaign for it to stick around or anything. It just seems weird. The Olympics are an international event for a reason and important to international relations. Why would it be scaled down to a single high school in Japan? I don't really know much about it, to be honest, Sue admitted. I think it's still a thing in other countries, but in Japan, the top hero school in the country gets to show off their students so their hero students can start building recognition with the press and the public. Right now, that's UA. Huh. Five muddled over that. Interesting. I'm familiar with the media machine and how important branding recognition can be. It certainly helps when trying to get the public to listen to you when you're younger than them. Are you a hero student back in your time? Sue asked. I'm more than a hero student. I'm a hero. Five clarified, chin up and shoulders straight. My siblings and I were the first of our kind, back in America. We were called the Umbrella Academy. You might have heard of us. Nope, doesn't ring a bell, Sue said bluntly. And isn't academy another word for school? Five winced, color rising to his cheeks. It was our father that was in charge of branding. It's different, because we went out and fought actual crime. It doesn't count if the villains are bringing the fight to you. UA has internships with hero agencies starting in second year, and those interns are basically sidekicks, she pointed out. You're kind of young for doing any of that stuff, but it doesn't sound all that different to me. It's different. Five insisted, with a sharpness in his voice that gave Sue goosebumps. Marty McFly. Bakugo made his way over to where they were sitting and slammed his hand on the table between Sue and Five. Sue instinctively leaned away from the aggression action, but Five didn't flinch, just looked up at Bakugo with a pinched expression. That's not my name. Bakugo barreled on, as if Five hadn't said anything. I don't know what you told the cops to get them on your side, but I'm not buying it. You just so happen to show up at the same time as those villains? What a joke. Bakugo. Five snorted, an unexplicit smile on his face. So what? Are you gonna prove to everyone that I'm a villain? Bakugo narrowed his eyes at the boy. I'm gonna expose the truth. Good luck with that. Five said, confidently, returning to his meal. Bakugo started rolling up his sleeves. Oi, don't you ignore me! Bakugo! Sue stood and grabs Bakugo's arm. Stop it! He's on our side, Ribbit. You too, frog-faced? Bakugo turned his glare at Sue, but she didn't back down. Five saved us, she said bluntly, taking a step into Bakugo's personal space. Midoriya, Mineta, and I. He helped us get Mr. Aizawa to safety. He got hurt for us when he could have stayed hidden and safe. That doesn't sound like a villain to me. Besides, he's just a kid. I'm 13. Five protested quietly behind her. Bakugo scowled at her, looking between her and Five. Finally, he took a step back and jerked his arm out of her grip before pointing at Five. I'm watching you. Good, Five said, though his sneer was snarky. You might learn something. Bakugo looked like he was about to jump Five again, so Stu stepped between them and met Bakugo's eyes. In the end, he clicked his tongue and made his way elsewhere in the lunchroom. Sue let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding and went to sit back down. Five was watching her movements carefully, eyes sharp and searching. His brow was furrowed at her in the same way it had been when he was trying to read the kanji on the lunch menu. You didn't need to do that, Five pointed out. I was telling the truth. I'm here under the protection of the teachers and the principal. Even if he looked, he wouldn't find anything. Even so, it was the right thing to do, Sue said easily, before offering her hand forward. Pass me your phone. We can set up a text-to-speech app that might make things easier for you. Five was still looking at her with a furrowed brow and a slack jaw, but he placed his phone in her hand anyways. That was a very interesting chapter. It was still Sue's, perspective. Interesting. So the fact that Sue hasn't heard anything about the Umbrella Academy gives me the impression that they're not well known anymore, or they were, what's it called? Pulled under the rug or just lost within history, So that's interesting. I don't really have any much to say to this chapter. Other than I'm sick, so if you guys haven't seen the community post, I will only be posting this video and then the video that's going to be uploaded in about 3 hours, mainly because I'm sick. I'm actually sick now. I have a fever. It's a small one, don't worry. Otherwise, I would be taking a break bigger than just posting 2 videos, or a break bigger than just only posting 2 videos. I would be posting no videos and I would be taking an extensive break. Meaning I would be not recording, not doing anything for consecration or anything like that. But no, it's just a slight fever. It hasn't even reached my head. It's just a fever towards like the torso and my neck area. It hasn't gone above. And I just have a slight headache that occasionally gets worse and then, stops and then gets worse. But otherwise, I'm pretty much fine. My throat still has... Hold up, water. My throat is still slight irritated, but it is a whole lot better. I can talk without it hurting, and I feel like I could actually do my voices now. Not fully. I feel like it's still, debilitating that part. I can't make it as high-pitched as I, would like to, but at least I feel. That's how I feel like. But, yeah. Hopefully we will go back into the regular schedule soon. So as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and my socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.